Okay, so today we're going to clean an old couch. Now, the first thing I tried was I took our Spot Bot and with a little bit of solution in there, a quarter solution to water, I used the Spot Bot to clean the fabric. Now, I want to go over this again, but it took a lot of dirt out. Now, Spot Bots are really worthwhile. I use this for everything, cleaning the car, cleaning carpets, and cleaning upholstery. Now, that didn't get it quite as clean as I'd like to, and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. So, now next what I'm going to do, because it didn't get clean to me, and before you do this, make sure you have an oversized garbage bag. And I'll tell you why you want to make sure you have an oversized garbage bag here in a minute, which is plenty big enough for this whole cushion to go into. So you got to unzip this next. Okay, so I want to weigh these cushions while they're dry so I can see what they should weigh when they get dry again. And I'm looking at about 3.5 pounds dry. Okay, since this is an HE washer, I'm just going to put it on the regular wash cycle. So I put them in there. I'm going to do this on cold. Just because I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. Whoopsie! So I'm going to do 1, 2. Whoa! It's a little more than I intended because my pump wasn't working properly. So let's just put this on normal. I'm going to do cold, cold. Okay, let's see what happens. Oh no, don't do it! In you go. One thing you got to make sure of, or try to, is that you make it so the water is over top of the cushion. Because if you don't have enough water in there, what it's going to do, it's going to squish the dirt out, and dirt and soap out, and then it's going to, you let your foot up, it's going to suck it right back in. So, do this for a little while, and then if you don't think you can get, oh, that's a lot of dirt coming out of this cushion. So you want to drain it out. You're going to do this about 5 times. And at some point, you're going to add vinegar to it to help get the soap out, supposedly. But it's going to get the smell out of the cushions, whatever's been absorbed, maybe from cooking and stuff. One thing I forgot to mention is you don't want to do this with hot water. You want to do it with cold or warm, slightly warm, just so it's comfortable for you. Heat tends to degrade foam, so you don't want to do this with the absolute hottest water you can, which is counterintuitive. But you're lucky to be able to do this at all. So cold water to slightly warm, whatever's comfortable for you. Don't do hot bath water. Okay, so I folded this over 4 times, and I'm going to do this. Got to make sure that you're holding on to the bathtub when you do this. I would not want you to fall. It's also a good idea to turn this cushion around while you're doing this, so that you can get every part as dry as possible. You want to get as much water out of there as you can, because it's going to take a long time to dry. And the more water, the more time you spend doing this, the quicker it's going to dry on your drying rack. I don't think I can go another time. Not really. Just going to squeeze this as much as possible. You want to get this as dry as you possibly can, like I said. Okay, I just wanted to show you, I got this as dry as I possibly could. And that weighs about 14 pounds. This is 11 pounds of water still in there. Now you do not want to put this out in the sun to dry. It'll degrade the foam. Okay, I just wanted to show you, this is my final drying rack. This is a drying rack that Jill has for her clothes, but it's going to work great for these cushions. And it's going to drip like that, and I'm going to keep coming down here wiping up the water, and eventually it'll be dry. Now, if you want to do this outside, not in direct sunlight, you can take this outside and just squeeze the extra water out of there. Now this is the absolute crazy part. No one in their right mind would recommend you do this. But if you've been watching my videos, you know I'm not really in my right mind. I wish to spin dry this. The centrifuge is really going to get all that water out of there. Now you have to be very careful because you could ruin your machine. Okay? So nobody's going to recommend you do this. I don't really recommend you do this. I'm just going to do this. Now, best way is if you just have a spin cycle without the rinse. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you balance this load before you get started. You could do that by looking at it and moving this around. Now remember, this is 30 pounds in here. So you don't want to ruin the bearings in your washing machine. And I'm not responsible if you do. Because I don't recommend this. It's not a good idea. Don't do it. Whatever you do. But I'm going to do it because I am crazy. So let's see what happens. Okay. Let's see if we can just rinse. Spin. And the centrifuge is really going to get a lot of water out there. But like I said, you have to make sure that the load is absolutely balanced. I would hate to see you ruin your washing machine. That centrifuge is really going to get all that water out of there. This is going to save you days of drying. As I said though, I don't really recommend this for you because I don't want you to ruin your washing machine. And if you would do it against my recommendation, you got to make sure that that load is balanced before you attempt this. And you can easily do that by spinning the tub by hand and looking where it's heavy. Now while those cushions are spinning all that water out, I'm going to do something else that no one recommends in their right mind, and that I don't recommend, and that the manufacturer doesn't recommend. I'm going to put these in my HE dryer, and I'm going to put them on ultra low. Okay my friends, now it is time for the moment of truth. I think it weighed about, one of these cushions weighed about 14 pounds before I run it through this spin cycle. Let's see what it weighs now after 13 minutes of spin. Now be very, 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 very careful when you pull this out of the washer because you don't want to rip the foam. If you do this against my recommendation. Okay, so before going through the centrifuge there, it weighed 14 pounds. And now it weighs about 5 pounds. So we still got about 2 pounds of water in there, but we got rid of a lot of the water, so it's going to dry much quicker. So what you want to do next, okay, this cushion is not dry yet, but I want to finish the video, so I want to show you how to do this. When you do this, you want to make sure the cushion is absolutely dry, because you don't want to suck all the moisture up into your vacuum. I'm just going to be careful. I'm just going to show you this a little bit. Now this process works a lot better with completely square cushions. Well, these aren't completely square, but I'm going to do it anyway. So this goes on there like that. And I think there's going to be a little bunching here. But what are you going to do? The couch is 20-some years old. I traded it for my leather couch that I didn't like, because it smelled. So you stick it in a plastic bag, like this. One thing I forgot to mention, or maybe I mentioned, but I want to make sure we're clear on this. You got to make sure this nozzle on the vacuum cleaner is right up next to the cushion, because you don't want to suck that plastic bag inside the vacuum cleaner. So you make sure that the nozzle is right up next to the foam. Voila. So I want to take this wing here and I want to match it up with the cushion. It's hard to do with one hand, but here's that wing. So I'm going to stick it in like this. If you want to, you can zip tie this so that you don't have to hold it. I'm just going to tie a little knot and hope that it doesn't suck in any air, because I don't happen to have any zip ties handy, and I'm showing you. So you're going to unzip this, and you're going to put this little wing in there. Like so. And then what you're going to do is you're going to open this back up. You're going to let it suck in some air. You'll feel the rush of air going in. See how it's inflating? So what you're going to do next is you're going to reach in here and you're going to rip this bag out of here. And then you're going to zip up the cushion. Simple as that. Okay, so now that I've got that bag out of there, I'm just going to go ahead and zip up the cushion. But I think it'll straighten out. So there we go. So that entire cushion is clean. Okay, so now the couch cushions are clean. You can see a definite difference between how bright this is and how dingy this is. So I'm going to go over this again with my spot bot that I showed you. And I'm going to get some oxygen because I didn't have that when I did this. I just used standard spot bot cleaner. It is important for me to note that when you do that procedure I did with the vacuum cleaner, you have to be careful, because not all vacuum cleaners are Dysons, and not all of them have that valve that's going to pop off when it loses suction. So when you're doing that, you have to actually pull the hose out, because you don't want to damage your vacuum cleaner. So there you have it. The couch is clean. I'm going to touch this up again with oxygen, and I think I'll have something. And at least it'll be a little less dirty, a little less dingy, and a little less dusty. So there you have it. Hope you found something useful.